Hey everyone, we wanted to talk a little bit about the Voynich Manuscript and some idle thinking I've been doing about this. Here is a sample of some of the text, I think, from the herbal folios that I just sort of copied out. But one thing that occurred to me is, why would people write in some kind of strange text? Well, I've been doing it all my life. So when I saw this for the first time, I just thought, wow, this is like something I would do. For example, here we have a nice old leather bound book, it looks like. But basically, if you flipped open here, we have some ruminations I did. Now this is Tokyo. I do speak Japanese. I used to live there, so these are some ruminations I did when I was there in a, I hope, indecipherable script, because I made it up and I've been doing this all my life. The first time was probably when I was about 10, after reading Arne Saknesson's Voyage to the Center of the Earth and the Runic, and I once made like a treasure map. I buried a dime, 1 10-cent piece, in the back of our house, probably maybe 200-300 yards from my house, and I made a treasure map and I wrote it in my runic own script, and I rolled it up into like a scroll and I put it in our attic. Now that was about 50 years ago, so I'm sure if somebody found that scroll when they were renovating the house at some point, they may have found that, and I'm sure it would be an enigma, and they'd be wondering what the heck that came from. And that was just like, not a joke. I mean, there's a real prize. If they follow the treasure map, they can find my dime, and that will be their big reward. But basically, it was just 10-year-olds fun. So, but since then, I've always done that. I've always written things in my own text. Part of it was I used to write my dreams down when I was in high school, and like people that have a diary, they're paranoid that people are going to find it and read it, so they have maybe a special secret hiding place, or they have those little locks on it that can be broken in 2 seconds. But my theory was, well, I'll write in a script that nobody can read, because I don't want to. Of course, as you're an adolescent, you start having rather sexual dreams, so I didn't want my younger sisters or mother, God forbid, to find my dreams and read them. So I wrote them in a script that nobody could read, and very safe. In fact, I have them to this day. I still write in various scripts on my own that I like to do, and therefore I still do it. I'm a successful business person with a Toyota related company, and my staff and colleagues sometimes make fun of me, but I tell them, well, listen, most of our customers are actually competitors of each other. So if ever my notebook were forgotten at one of my customers' places, they could read about what products I'm selling to their competition, what pricing. And so I always say, hey, my book, nobody can read it, so even if I forget it at the competition or at a customer, they can't do anything with it. So there's still a lot of... So anyway, long story short, coming back to the Voynich Manuscript, why would somebody do this? Well, I think that... I don't think it's a cipher. I don't think it's something very, very strange. Just that they probably thought this would be kind of fun. Listen, you know those monks were like always working on converting text, copying text. And listen, you're a monk, maybe you have a bit of alcohol, there's no women, no families, a lot of time on your hands. They probably made the Voynich Manuscript as something fun. Because as you can see here, I found on the internet, sorry to flip this around, But basically, they figured out that there's about 10 different writing styles here, which would seem like there's 10 different people that penned this. So it looks like there's at least 10 people in on it. So my theory is probably a monastery where this would be like a little hobby, side job for those guys to make some text in their own writing. And don't forget, back then, goes back to, let's say, 1400 AD in maybe northern Italy. Within their people's lifetime, their memory, they can remember a time when the Black Plague came to Europe, decimated 25% plus of their population. City-states were at war with each other, fighting. So they probably thought, hey, we've got all this good information on herbs and medicines and different things. Let's keep it for ourselves. We'll have a little club and we'll write it in our own little language. And, if the apocalypse comes, we'll be the only ones that know how to take care of things when the new world comes. So that could be a possibility as well. The only problem I'm having, and I've only looked at this a little bit, this is some scribbles I made from the Voynich Manuscript, from one of the folios, I think, from the herbal section. My concern, though, is this sort of pseudo number 8 and G or number 9 appears a lot. Like here, look, you've got 4 words in a row and they all have the same ending. I mean, I'm no expert, but I speak French, Spanish, German, Japanese, and English. And I'm learning Mandarin, but I don't know of any modern language where you would have 4 words in a row and several within a few lines of each other that all have the same ending. So that's a bit puzzling, and I know a lot of people have looked at this, but I've only stumbled upon this the last few days, so I'd like to look at it a bit more. But anyway, those are just my ruminations. I mean, I'm thinking, I don't think it's a very complicated code, or those code breakers perhaps from World War II, they just made it too complicated than it really was. Anyway, we have to think about this some more, but that's just my cursory view, and I'll have to look at this some more. And just another thing here too I wanted to show. I mean, this is how I start my normal day. This is for example, if somebody found this, let's say in 500 years, it would be quite an enigma. So here is my corporate logo stamp. Here is Japanese for sculpting, because I like to sculpt my day and make lists of important things I need to do for work and in my personal life. Here is the date in the Mayan calendar. We're currently in 2016, so this is the 13th Baktun. And I like to keep track of the date in the Mayan calendar because the naysayers of 2012 were going to say the world was going to end. And they gave misinformation that the Mayan calendar actually ends December 21st, 2012. Well, the Mayan calendar does not end. It can roll on forever. It's just a series of numbers. But their mythology was that the 13th Baktun was when the world was regenerated, and the 13th Baktun had happened twice before in their history. But in actual fact, 13 Baktun is equivalent to about 1.8 million days, which is about 4,000 or odd years. So the Maya civilization never made it even through a fraction of 13 Baktun. So it's just mythology. Their calendar does not end at 2012, and it's still humming along here in 2016, and I still record the date in the Mayan calendar just to stick it in the face of those Maya doomsday people. And then there's an interesting little stamp here. And this, I used to work in Tokyo, and this is my name transliterated into Japanese. My name is Couturier, which is French for dress designer. But my boss at the time thought it sort of sounded like kutsuru, which means the coming crane, which is a very nice symbol. This is coming, this is crane, and therefore he suggested I should use my own stamp that uses this as my last name, the coming crane, which I still use to this day, even on my business card. It's a good conversation piece. But as you can imagine, if somebody found this sheet of paper in 500 years from now and would have a mixture of Japanese, the Mayan calendar, and texts from the Voynich Manuscript, man, this would blow people's mind. And it's just goofing around on a Sunday evening. And this is my sort of pseudo script here that I'm currently using. But like I said, my scripts have changed over the years. And even I'm having trouble to go back and read things that I wrote 20, 30 years ago. But there you have it. So anyway, just some thoughts on the Voynich Manuscript and the fact that it could have been just an old boys club that just did this in a monastery for fun to prepare themselves for the apocalypse, and nothing more sinister than that. Although I do have to do more study on these strange characters that just appear way too many times that don't make any sense whatsoever. But since this manuscript has been studied for hundreds of years and nobody's been able to crack it, I guess I'm in good company. And since I've only looked at this for a few days, I guess I've got, I can be forgiven for not having better thoughts than that. But hopefully we can get some discussion going, and I will get back to you later with some more thoughts. So that's all for now. Thanks for listening.